Hey everybody, this is Bob Crow with KSI, and we're continuing our series with Workday Unlimited, pretty much everything Workday. This particular segment is going to be a continuation of our Workday contract renewal and negotiation. We started this a few weeks ago in a webinar. We had a very large attendance, and this is a kind of a request from about 40 of you just for a more condensed version. There are about 1,000 Workday customers who will have to renew their contract really within the next 9 to 12 months. And we look at this as a really cool opportunity to start getting ahead of your Workday contract planning, your business case, and all of the elements necessary to get more from Workday, get more out of your Workday, and just have a really good contract and overall value. For many of you, you already know, KSI has been a leading Workday partner for about 13 years now. We started working with them back in 2007, 8, and 9, became a partner just after that. We've helped write about $500 million in Workday contracts. Now, a lot of those are companies getting into their first Workday contract back in years and years ago. And then a lot of those of recent are companies that have gone through their first, second, or even third iteration of their Workday contract where we're helping them with their renewal. And what we found is, and we'll share some statistics in this report, most of you guys have inherited your contract. Most of you just don't know what's in it. Most of you may not understand all the moving parts around how a Workday contract works. And so when we're engaging with our customers, about 90% of them have a very good experience where we help them save more, get more, and have a better overall Workday contract. We've got a lot of great customers that we're currently working with, either through their transformation, their deployment, their expansion, and or their contracting. Now, a lot of you know us for our advisory services. Many of you actually probably engaged us for your technology evaluation, whether it was ERP or a module or your HCM module. We do a lot of contract negotiations, but a lot of you also know us for our annual benchmarking report. We just wrapped up our 2023. We engaged several thousand Workday users to participate, and we capture just an incredible amount of data. It really is the best available customer benchmarking out there, bar none. It really is. This is not influenced by any vendor, whether it's Workday, ADP, Oracle, SAP, UKG. We do this for all of the big enterprise vendors, and we don't take a penny from the vendors. We don't want their money. We want this to be the voice of the customer. So everybody knows us for that. I think many of you know us for our Workday Unlimited services. We launched this a few years ago. It really is about helping you through your enterprise transformation journey. Whether you're just adding on Workday or you're rethinking elements of your Workday from a deployment, whether you're time to step back and look at your digital transformation footprint. What are we doing? What could we do better? How do we get more out of our technology enablement, whether it's automation, your configuration, or user experience, user adoption? And then a lot of you have been stepping back and saying, our Workday is stable. Now we need to rethink the function, our finance, our HR, our operations, our shared services. How do we start rethinking our approach to delivering services and servicing our customer better? And then there's several dozen Workday customers who leverage us as really just an extension of their team through our managed services. So you can find more on our website. It's all down here, but that was really just to get those who aren't familiar with this. I mentioned our benchmarking because this is really a critical component. We once a year, we tap into all of the Workday customers, and then every month, many of you getting our pulse surveys. Here's what we're finding as it relates to contracting. About 66% of Workday customers report that they're going to be extending, expanding, implementing more Workday. Now, they may already own some of that, or they may have to go buy some of that. But that 66% is an amazing number, right? And I think it's a little bit shy of closer to 70. When we do this for other vendors, they don't even come close to the 66%. So this is a very, very, very good number. It's good for Workday. I think they're double what the next vendor is, but it tells us that Workday customers like the product, they want to extend it. Now, the challenge with that is a lot of you are barely keeping up with the Workday product. There is a lot of functionality there. And so there's some other benchmarking research that we'd like to talk about. Another key thing from a contracting is that we're finding at least 31%. I think there's a lot more of the customers that we're working with right now. It's more. Many of you are paying for modules and SKUs that you're not even using. And that's not a bad thing. It's an okay thing. For a while, Workday was giving away a lot of functionality, and you got it as part of your contract, but many of you didn't implement it because it wasn't part of your original roadmap or your timeline or your budget. But what we're finding is a lot of customers have modules. This is kind of funny. We actually were retained by a customer to help them with their recruiting and a payroll selection. In about 2 weeks, we realized they already own these modules because I actually read their contract. They didn't even know. They didn't know because that contract was passed over from 4 different persons to the one who had it now. So they actually own those modules. We saved them tens of thousands of dollars going through the consulting exercise. And all we did is we had Workday come in, do an update, a refresh, a deep dive demo. They selected Workday, and now they're going to go down a deployment path. Our opinion, and this isn't a ding at Workday, about 60% of you, it's actually quite a bit higher, are actually overpaying for your Workday. And this isn't something that Workday has done to you, right? This is, I'm going to call it a bit of mismanagement on the customer's part. There are things that when you get into these contracts, if you're not paying attention, you're going to start overpaying for it. And that's precisely what's happening. So there's a lot of little things and a few big things that you could be doing to refine your overall Workday subscription agreement and contract. You know, I'm going to pause real quick. I think when any company goes to renew any contract, you need to treat it like any other business case. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What are we trying to solve for? What are we going to improve? What's it going to cost? And what's the ROI? When you go into that with this approach, you're actually probably going to get more funding than you thought you were going to get. You may end up with a lot more modules and just an overall better contract. So we take things a little bit differently. Sadly, many of you just kind of stumble into the contracting process. There's not a lot of you who actually go in with a plan, strategy, and approach. Completely understandable because you got day jobs. We look at this and say, when is your contract coming up? Now let's work backwards about 3, 5, 6, 9 months. Let's have a plan, strategy, and approach. Let's build a budget. Let's do some data gathering. Let's do some due diligence on our side. Let's prepare ourselves for what we have, what we need, what we want, and what we can afford. And so going into a contract renewal is important. I think whether you're saving $10,000 or whether you're saving $200,000, it's a big deal. Having a plan potentially saves you more, which allows you to keep more money or invest in other areas. Like I mentioned, most of you guys have inherited, at least half, have inherited these contracts. And that's part of what we do is just try to educate you around what is this Workday contract? What is this FSE thing? And the FSE definitions have also changed in the last year or so. So there's a constant evolution of what you signed maybe a few years ago or longer to where you are now. There's a ton more modules that you need to be thinking about that can complement your existing Workday structure. And again, selfless plug, 90% of the customers who engage us to help them look at, review, and plan for their contract renewal get a benefit out of it. They just get a benefit out of it. We wouldn't be doing this and doing these calls unless there was a strong demand for it and a strong reward for the customers going through this. Now, these are the things that we like to focus on. You can do this all by yourself. You don't need me. You don't need my team. You don't need anybody. You can start working on these things. Start gathering information around your original contract, the original headcount that you signed up for. Start understanding where you are now, right? What are the demographic changes in those FSCs? Where has your headcount gone since your original contract or last iteration? Is it going up? Is it trending down? Do you have some acquisitions planned? Start thinking about these things because this becomes part of your negotiation strategy and tactics, right? There's a little bit of poker going on So the idea is let's fill our arsenal. Let's look at all the different levers that we can pull to negotiate the best possible deal. This is an important one. I mentioned this earlier. What are the SKUs that you already own versus what do you have deployed? And maybe what are the ones that you weren't even aware of? And then this considering is what are other HR or finance or enterprise technologies that you think that you would benefit from Workday? Maybe you don't even know what else they offer. As I mentioned before, some of the customers we work with don't even know that Workday offers certain functionality. So the idea of going into your contract negotiation is not just about what you're already paying for, but what you're using or not using and what you may be looking at. You may have a Kronos or a Concur or a Connexa or an iCIMS contract that's coming up. Maybe now's a good time to think about consolidating more into Workday. So do some planning and strategy around it. Do your research, do your due diligence. Many of the Workday contracts were originally signed at about 3-year durations. That's changed quite a bit. There are still some of the smaller ones that start there, and I get why that's done. I don't think I've signed a contract under 5 years in probably the last 5 years. But the whole idea is you can potentially get more if you want to extend it. Now, there's a point of diminishing return where you just can't extend it in perpetuity and get these ridiculous rates. It's not going to happen. There's other things going on in Workday contracts that will kind of flatten that out, and there's a reasonable point there. So, but thinking about your current and your projected and your target, what are you comfortable with? Some clients are comfortable with 3, some 5, some 7, some aren't comfortable going that far out. It's a preference, but it's also a strategy that you bring to the table when you're negotiating. Other considerations, right? Do you like the product? Is it doing what you need it to do? Are you happy with it? And is it because it's a good product or because you've embraced it or because you're owning it or all of those above? Is your adoption where you want it to be? So again, I look at customers who may not love the product, but they may be their own problem. It may not be the product, it may be the people. So user adoption is an issue. What does the business need? Do managers know that there's other functionality that we can turn on? Is there other functionality that can drive value to the business? Again, when you're thinking about all these things, you're thinking about it in this is a new business case. This is a new technology funding request. Right? The whole idea is to set it up internally and with Workday as a business case. One of the things that you don't have that we have is the last 13 years of research that we've conducted, gathering these subscription agreements for Workday, but also for all of their competitors. So we know what the prevailing price is for Oracle, SAP, UKG, ADP, Ceridian, et cetera. Even some of the smaller companies like Bamboo, HR, Paylocity, Paychex, et cetera. So the idea, we have the benchmarking that we've done from our evaluations, from the research we've done with you all, and we have a very compelling approach to saying you have a bad deal, an okay deal, a good deal, or a great deal. Our goal is to help educate you and help you get the best deal. And again, at the same time, everybody needs to win in these types of renewals. I'm going to leave you with a couple of things, right? I don't know if you're a month away or if you're 10 months away or 2 years away. Treat these things as a business case, as I've mentioned. Start gathering data. Start pulling together your headcount. Start looking at all of your technology contracts. What else could come into Workday as a possibility to negotiate with and to get a better deal? You'll be surprised when you ask Workday that you want more. They may just give you a better deal overall. So go into it with a strategy around a business case, solving a problem, improving outcomes, delivering business value, saving money. Take that approach and you're going to do well. When we engage, our clients always have a benefit. And the things that we do in our little engagements that are about 2, 3, 4 weeks is if we can't help you, there's not going to be a charge. We're going to tell you where to be. If we can help you, and we don't get you a better deal, don't pay us. I don't want to be one of those vendors who just keeps taking your money. I think that there's a wealth of information that we could provide. So please reach out and ask. We're happy to help in whatever you want to. You know how to get a hold of us, folks. Thanks for watching. More is coming.